Okay, look, I know it's already February. We're running a little bit late on this, but I didn't play that many games in 2021 that came out in 2021. I spent February to August, late August, playing 9 Trails games, the entirety of the localized Trails series. Uh, and that took up most of my year. So we're running a little bit late, and I didn't get to play all the games I wanted, but we're still going to cover Game of the Year 2021. We're still going to give out some awards, and we're going to do this in a little bit of a different way than we have in the past, but one that I think people hopefully will still find enjoyable. Starting off, I want to look at a couple of really interesting awards. In the past, we've had like nominees and discussion, and instead this time, just, we're going to present the awards to you, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the game that won the awards. Specifically, I want to start off with Best Debut and Most Surprising. And Best Debut and Most Surprising are going to Inscription. Inscription is a game that came kind of out of nowhere. It just hits really hard right at the beginning with a, hey, you're trapped in a murderer's house and he's forcing you to play a card game and there's nothing you can do about it. Do your best. The card game mechanics themselves are really, really solid. I like them a lot. But the real joy of this game to me comes in trying to manipulate the killer and to figure out what's going on, the mystery there. The game goes to a lot of really crazy places, and we're not going to be doing a lot of spoiler talk in this video, but I really just wanted to hit home on Inscription as a surprise. Go into this game blind if you can at all, because I 100% think this game is worth playing. Inscription is super cool, and I really, really like it. Next up, we have Best Action, which is going to Monster Hunter Rise. There were a lot of games that could have won this. Hitman 3 has some really solid action. We have things like Tales of Arise, Lost Judgment, but those games I didn't put a lot of time into and will be in a different list later on. But Monster Hunter Rise, I think, 100% sells the dynamic action. It is split-second decisions are going to either pay off or cost you. Even though Monster Hunter as a series has kind of been like a slower feeling game, Rise feels very quick. You have the Silk Bug and the Silk Binds, the Wire Bug and the Silk Binds to be able to pull yourself around. And if you love quick and powerful combos, you love being able to pull off really crazy maneuvers, the stuff that you can do in Monster Hunter Rise is ridiculous, and I absolutely love it. It is the step forward that I didn't realize the franchise needed, and that I'm very much hoping they continue to move forward with in the future. I'll still play it, of course, if they don't, but I really, really enjoyed the addition of the Silk Bind. What a cool thing the Wire Bug is. What a cool addition to the series. Next up, we have Best World. Best World is going to Ender Lilies. And Ender Lilies is a game that I feel like a lot of people probably haven't heard of. I think that Ender Lilies is a really, really solid game with a lot to love in it. It's a really great Metroidvania. May come up again in a little bit. But I really enjoy the world of Ender Lilies, figuring out the story as you go, piecing together what's going on in this ruined kingdom, and slowly learning about the individual characters and picking everything up there. No surprise, really, that that's my favorite thing because I love Dark Souls. But I really, really enjoyed this world, and so there was no other choice, really. But Ender Lilies for Best World. Best Mobile Game is actually going to Warhammer Combat Cards. I put a ton of time into this game on mobile. It's also now on Steam, but I think what really sells it is the simplicity. It is a very simple game in a lot of ways, while also giving you a lot of options to be able to build your decks around. It is not overly pushy with the ads or with deals or savings. You can choose to do an ad every 12 hours to be able to get 100 free coins. You don't even have to do that. You can just ignore it. Granted, to get to that ad, you have to scroll down past all the offers, but none of them are being shoved in your face with, hey, here's a new offer. Did you see this? For a limited time, you have this. None of that. It is just a really, really solid game that I think is a lot of fun. And if you love TCGs, I think it is a game that you absolutely should check out. Next up, we have a Best Strategy. Now, this is a new award that I specifically made just so I could talk about Wildermyth. Wildermyth is super cool. Story is procedurally generated. It adds new ideas and changes the story as you go in a really cool way. I've played through 2 full campaigns now. I'm looking forward to a 3rd one. I'm either going to use Kamen Rider characters or going to use Gundam characters, and I'm unsure which one so far, but we'll figure it out at some point. I really, really love Wildermyth. I think strategically the game is a ton of fun, having to build around morale and build around the terrain and your mages and all the different abilities that your characters have, which are all changed by the story that you go through. If you lose a character, they might not be harmed at all, or they might take a wound. It's really interesting the way that it all plays out, and I really enjoyed my time with it. What almost won Best Strategy is a different game that is going to win Best Mech Game of 2021, and that's Super Robot Wars 30, which is an incredible game in the series. I think Wildermyth has a little bit more going on strategically, and that's why I couldn't give it Best Strategy. But when it comes to this game, there are so many mechs. It also would be Best Crossover if we had that award. It's so many mechs, and the way that it does them is so good. You get, even like DLC alone gives you so many, but you already have so many in the base game. You can upgrade most of them by doing free missions, basically, of recon missions. You can just pick and choose. The only complaint I really have is how limited the deployment slots are, but there's so many missions and so many units that you pick up that you kind of can just cycle through teams of units in a way that none of the other games really let you do. It's really satisfying just to be able to go, well, this mission I want to use this character. And I think Super Robot Wars 30 gives you not just a huge number of mechs, but also lets you use them to the best of their ability. And so it has to win Best Mech Game of 2021. Best Expansion is going to Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker. Obviously, I'm a huge Final Fantasy XIV fan. I'll be the first one to admit that it is one of my favorite games to play, and it has been my favorite MMO for a long time. This expansion absolutely knocked it out of the park. There's no way it could have gone to anything but Endwalker as far as I'm concerned. Endwalker just absolutely was worth it. It's the single best MMO expansion that I've ever played, and I really, really love it. By that same token, Best Story is going to Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker. And if you didn't see that coming, I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you, because I absolutely adore the story in Endwalker. It is incredible where it goes, and what it brings back up from previous expansions is incredible. And you may be saying, then Trey, it can't win. How can it possibly win when you just said that it relies on stuff from other expansions? I don't care. It's the best story. 100%. So it wins. Love that game. Best new character is going to Resident Evil Village with Heisenberg. I love Resident Evil Village. There's a lot I want to say and already have said about Resident Evil Village. You can check out my review in the description if you're curious. But Heisenberg absolutely was a great new addition to that cast. I really, really love Heisenberg. And every time he's on screen, he is powerful. He's chewing the scenery. He is the focus anytime he's on screen for me. And when he's not there, all I want to know is, where's Heisenberg? You hear him speak and you just go, yeah, there he is. There's that jerk. Yeah. Heisenberg, 100% best new character of the year for me. Absolutely love him. Next up, we have the winner of Best Game in a Genre I Can't Stand, which is Valheim. I am not a fan of survival games. I cannot stand playing survival games. But Valheim really won me over in a very short amount of time. I love the skill system and the way you rank up your skills. I think that Valheim, had it not been for a dearth of content updates from the developers, which again, in current day, who can blame them, really? I think I would probably still be playing Valheim, and I definitely will go back to Valheim after it gets some updates. But I 100% enjoyed my time with Valheim, and I'm looking forward to more. This may be a new award, but I'm really excited for it because there's a lot of genres that I'm not a huge fan of. So I think that having the potential to showcase some games in genres that I'm not a big fan of personally would be really interesting. Before we get into our Game of the Year and runner-up, I want to showcase the last of our brand new awards, which is What the heck is this game? Presented by Balan Wonderworld. The winner, of course, is Balan Wonderworld, a game so nonsensical that they removed the story and made it a separate purchase in the form of a book. A game that is a platformer where sometimes you can't jump, with a sliding difficulty scale that adjusts enemy AI, it adjusts how aggressive the enemies are going to be, enemies that constantly respawn, boss fights that just drag on and on as they have very few times they're actually vulnerable, and you have to capitalize on those levels that are completely confusing in many ways. I spent so much of my time this year on that game just to see the people dance. And oh my gosh, what the heck is this game? Presented by Balan Wonderworld. Winner is Balan Wonderworld. And finally, Game of the Year. You're probably thinking it's going to be Endwalker, but it's not, because even though I make the rules here, Endwalker is just an expansion. The full game did not release this year. So we're looking at two games that fully released in 2021. In the past, we've done a top 10. I think that the other games have got their due already. There's not really much point in doing a top 10. So instead, we're just going to do a winner and a runner-up. The runner-up is Metroid Dread. Metroid Dread is an absolutely incredible Metroidvania, and it was not until this last year, 2021, that I realized that Metroidvanias are my favorite genre. So it's no real surprise that the Game of the Year and the runner-up are both in that genre. But Metroid Dread is an absolutely incredible game. It has really great pacing. It has some really interesting setups with the robots, with being hunted and having to fight off against them, the Edis. There are so many cool combat scenarios in this game. There's so many cool secrets. I wish I could give it the win, but unfortunately, some of those secrets include like Shine Spark puzzles that I had a lot of difficulty pulling off and really soured me on trying to get 100%, and I did not get 100% by the end of it. Maybe I just needed to get good, right? I also wish that it was easier to get around that world. I know there are a lot of connections, but there's a lot of times where you'll hit something and it just blocks your progression, and that's because you're supposed to go the other way. But I wanted to go back and get that power up, so I had to go all the way around the map to go back and get it, which is fine. That's very much a me thing. 100% though, Metroid Dread is still a game worth playing. I think that everybody should check it out. It is a really, really, really good game, and I love playing it. Can't wait to see what they do next. The winner is Ender Lilies, an incredible game set in a ruined kingdom with the best soundtrack of the year, which I just realized I forgot to give out as an award. So best soundtrack, Ender Lilies by far. Really, really love, Endwalker. Game of the Year, Ender Lilies. Absolutely incredible game. I love the story. I love the character that you play as, Lily. I love slowly building up her roster of spirits that she commands. I think the combat's really satisfying. Even if the game is a little easy, I really, really enjoyed it. And I cannot wait to see what that team comes up with next. What an incredible game. 100% recommended to anybody that loves Metroidvanias. And lastly, it was not supposed to be last, best soundtrack that I forgot to give out has to go to Endwalker. I'm sorry, Ender Lilies, you're the runner-up, but it has to go to Endwalker. That soundtrack is incredible. I could just keep talking about Endwalker for days. Endwalker's so good. But at that, we're going to end the video here. Go listen to that incredible soundtrack if you haven't. And until next time, we have 2 more videos coming up for Game of the Year throughout the course of this week. And until next time, I've been Trey. This has been The Full Spectrum. Remember to always enjoy the full spectrum Game of the Year has to offer.